Okay, hey, it's an exciting day. We are finally ready for a big, major backyard renovation project. I've been waiting for this to come in the mail, and I'm super excited to reveal that here, in this ginormous box, is our hot tub. It's time to put it together. So box in a box, that's pretty standard these days. This is what we've got here. It is the Intex PureSpa, and this one is supposed to be made for 6 people, as you can see with like one person standing outside in this little ridiculous picture. But yeah, let's be realistic. We're hoping it's just spacious and roomy for the 2 of us, or maybe post-COVID, if we have another couple over, it might fit 4. We shall see. So it looks like what we've got here is a tarp or an underlayment to go down underneath the thing, and then we've got the bigger box has the pump in it, according to what's on the picture of the box, and the taller but thinner box seems to have the hot tub itself folded up inside there. So we'll start with the underlayment tarp, get that down here on my patio, and move on from there. I was totally wrong. It's not an underlayment tarp. It's the top cover, which is good. I think I want to blow that up first before I do the actual hot tub itself, so that I can instantaneously put it on top, keep all the dust and stuff out. Okay, so both of these boxes, the hot tub and the pump, have this like no knife marking on it. But I mean, I'm not just gonna magically wish it open, so I guess I'm just gonna have to be careful. A handy dandy carrying case. I don't know that we're going to be traveling with this thing much, but you know what? Cool. Ah, this must be the underlayment tarp thing. Cool. Okay, so I actually found the owner's manual in the pump box, and it has quick startup instructions, which I read, and I'm actually going to follow for once in my life. Okay, according to those instructions, they say to actually start with the real deal underlayment. So I've folded up my cover for now and set it aside, and you're supposed to put these with the bubble side facing down. Okay, so to get this thing set up to inflate, you're going to take your air hose. This is the end that goes into your pump, and this is the end that goes into the thing you're inflating. You want to pop open both of these side hatches on the front of the pump here, or the back of the pump, depending on what you want to call it. Pop open. You want to do the one as you're facing this side on the right, and you will see this guy here comes pre-latched. shut. So there's the screw-on valve in the front, and then there's this latch in the back. You want to pop that latch open, flip open the cover, take your air hose with the open side facing towards the pump, stick it in there, and then re-engage that latch to hold it in place. Now you're ready to put this end into what you're inflating. All right, so I'm starting with the hot tub cover. So you just pop open your inflation valve, and this just kind of sticks all the way in there, and give it a good twist to make sure you got a nice clean lock and you're good to go. Okay, now that we're set, I'm going to close that hatch back up and push here to pop up my control panel and open the case. Now I'm going to plug the pump in. Okay, so what you want to do is engage power here. This is your control panel. Oh man, you really can barely see. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. It says, I think 27 degrees Celsius. It looks like that green LED is flashing on the camera, but to my eye, it is solid. So it must be some sort of camera image artifact. It is really hard to see that display screen. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to see that when we use it. But it says 27 degrees Celsius. We're not worried about heating yet, we're just worried about inflation, so that is going to be this air bubbles button. We're going to push that, and we're going to keep it on and active until the lid is firm to the touch, but not overly hard. Well, awesome. That really only took like a minute to fill up, so I'm pretty stoked about that. Of course, when you're done, you're going to have some air leakage while you pop your hose back out and close your valve, so do that part quickly and then push your valve inside. And you're good to go. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and we will move on to the tub itself next. Okay, so for real, the only thing in the hot tub box was the hot tub itself. So when you open that lid, you really should be careful with your knife and only like get the edges and stay right at the seam and try to break as much of it with your hands as possible without using your knife any more than needed. Okay, so for the tub itself, you're going to look to the left of these three big connection pieces, and you're going to find a screw cap. Unscrew that, pop it off, and likewise, screw that right back in. Connection established. We're going to hit that same bubble button to turn our pump on for about 8 to 10 minutes, the instruction says, so we'll see how long this thing takes to go. Oh. Instructions also say to peel this off first and read it, so I'm going to do that too. Awesome. It's nice and firm. That actually only took 3 minutes to inflate. I'm really super impressed with this pump so far. Also, important to note, when you unscrew the air hose from the tub itself, unlike the lid, there is a pressure fit connection in there, a spring-loaded pressure valve that closes off. So, I mean, It's still good to lock that cap back on as soon as you can, but it's not absolutely vital to do it instantaneously in order to avoid losing the air that you just put in. So that's a pretty cool feature too. Right, so priority number one for us here is to keep this thing clean until I can get the water into it. I don't want any dirt or particulate matter, and we live in Southern California, which is a very dry, dirt in the air, desert kind of environment. So I'm going to get the lid on right now. Well, that was a little unexpected. It seems that the lid actually slips down to the bottom when there's no water in the tub, which I guess is going to be fine. So let's move forward. Awesome. So I just did a quick double check of the instructions, and on page 11 here at the bottom it says, note, if the spa cover air bladder does not fit into the spa tub due to overinflation, release some air from the bladder until it fits. So the fact that it sunk down to the bottom there was actually right on point. That's what we want. Unexpected, but that's how it's supposed to be. Okay, next we're going to decouple our air inflation hose. Pop that bay door on the side back open, under your latch. Pop this out, replace that cover, and re-engage the latch. It's that simple. Okay, the next step is to attach our pump to the hot tub itself, and this was also a little unexpected. I thought that there would be hoses that ran between the two of these things, but they're not. It actually just pops right on the side there, and there are 3 valves that you hand tighten directly from the pump to the spa. So what I've relocated, I've turned the tub a little bit because I want this pump, since it has to be right up next to it, to sit as close to this post for my pergola as possible. But essentially what we're going to do here is open up those bay doors, make our attachments, and then close those bay doors back up again. Okay, honestly, that was pretty easy. I had to readjust the location, the orientation of the pump up against the spa a couple of times in order to get all 3 of those hand-tightened gaskets to seal. But honestly, that was pretty straightforward. I would do them in the order that I did them here, just because it's easiest to get them all engaged that way and lined up properly. Other than that, not much more to say. This thing is secure. Okay, I flipped open my cover here and just set it to the side to expose those 2 interior connections marked C. And this next step comes with a bit of fine print caveat. So what we're going to be doing is installing the filters, which are identical, so either one is good for either fitting, onto the inlet and the outlet gaskets here. And the caveats involved are you should have these on when you are maintaining the hot tub while it's not in use, and while you are filling the hot tub to, you know, filter out particulate matter from getting into the pump system itself. You're not supposed to have these on when you are using the hot tub, so before you get people in there, each time, unscrew these, and then after you're done using it, put them back on. I actually think I was wrong here when I screwed those filters on. I think it did go on the bottom, but then there's another C filter over there, which is where I think the other filter connection is supposed to go. So I'm going to remedy that mistake right now. Right, so we've got one filter here and the other filter there at both of the C connections. That looks right to me. Okay, now the last step you want to take before filling this guy up here is to check this valve at the bottom and make sure it's closed. That is the drain out valve on the inside, and it is connected to the drain out valve on the outside. Now when this came, the cover here for the outside was a little bit deformed due to shipping, so I had to kind of massage it back into place there. But with those 2 closed, we should be good to go ahead and start filling this thing up. Okay, so just to make sure that I don't have any catastrophic flooding, even outdoors here in my patio-covered yard, I did just put a little bit of water at the bottom, and I hit the pause button on the hose to make sure that we were fully sealed, and we are. We're good to go. So let's fill this the rest of the way. All right, very exciting. We are filling. We are past the filter line, so that's a start. And I went ahead and tested the pH just to make sure that we were like kind of in the right zone, and it's looking okay. It actually looks pretty close to being perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill it up to between the minimum and the maximum line, and then we'll do another pH test, an alkalinity test, and all that jazz to see where we're at then. Oh, exciting times. It is about to pass the minimum line. I'm gonna go, because there's only 2 of us getting in this thing that is actually quote unquote for 6 people. I'm gonna go to between, like right in the middle level between the minimum and the maximum mark. So that way when the 2 of us get in here, it should probably rise up to about the max level. You know, there's a little Bill Nye in all of us, probably, but the science guy is particularly strong in me. So in addition to testing like pH and alkalinity and all that stuff, I have been also looking at the temperature, because in addition to using this as a hot tub, primarily in the evenings, it's really hot here in Southern California, and this is going to be our pool until we get a real pool, our cold tub to dip in and cool off at the end of hard work days here in the backyard. So I've got my my laser thermometer gun, and I've been taking readings, and right now, as you can see, that water is 80 degrees, which really isn't bad. So I'm gonna let this fill. We're gonna go ahead and pop the top on for a little bit before we do anything further, and take the temperature reading again after this has had a chance to sit here in the hot California sun and kind of establish a baseline ambient temperature. Hey, but seriously though, back to the focus of the day. I think we're about midway, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut the water. We're gonna put the lid on, we're gonna let this thing get to ambient temperature, and then I'm gonna take our pH and alkalinity readings again. For the sake of science here, now that the lid is on, by the way, it has these little locking clasps, and I gotta say, you know, I know it's straight out of the box here, but this thing is gorgeous. It even matches our patio set. Very, very nice. But yeah, in the sake of science, I'm gonna take a temperature reading here at the top. 157 in the hot California sun on the top here. So yeah, I'm excited to see if the overall ambient temperature of the pool raises from 80 degrees after this has had a chance to sit for a while. So I'm gonna give it about 30 minutes to an hour. I'm gonna take a bike ride. I'll be back. Okay, we are back here at the hot tub. It has been sitting in the sun for a little while, and we're gonna go ahead and take the top of it off again. Let's maybe just slide it to the side. So that we can do a temperature test and see how hot it's gotten. Oh yeah, 92 degrees it says. 91 degrees, 91.9 actually.
Woo!
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is a pH and alkalinity test. So my lovely assistant, this goddess, has got that all set up over here.
Okay, so I'm just gonna dip.
Yep, just dip it.
And just don't shake it or anything, just hold it and wait about 15 seconds. And then on the bottle, there are all these different readings that you can compare it to. One is for free chlorine, and it shows you yeah, that looks pretty good. The next one is for pH. That also looks pretty good. Total alkalinity and calcium hardness. Calcium hardness. No, that looks good. That looks good. So I think we're all good. Yeah.
Alrighty.
And I just want to say, I really thought that this was going to be too small. And so I've really thought, like, I don't know if it's worth it. And I'm very impressed with the legitness of this tub.
Let's zoom out a little.
I mean,
for scale.
It is a blow-up tub. So it's a blow-up tub. So it's not like, you know, a permanent fixture. But it's pretty sturdy, which is really exciting. And I like the color, and I think it looks good. So I'm excited to try it out. And we're going to actually make it be a cold tub. I don't know if my husband has mentioned that he probably has.
Right.
So we're trying it cold first, just because it's so hot.
It's so hot here anyway. And like I said, the temperature right now, our reading is at 92 degrees. If we were to plug the heater, well, it's plugged in, but if we were to turn the heater on and try to heat it up, it would really only, the maximum this could heat to is 104 degrees anyway, and most people like it at about 100. So if we're at 92, that's only 8 degrees shy of that, and all we've used to power the heating process here is the sun. So yeah, I think we're going to try it like that, and at the end of our hard day's work, have a nice little soak.
So I'm excited to get in this thing and watch the hummingbirds, because we have a ton of hummingbirds flying around, and it is going to be great. So we'll see you later.
Okay, so I'm all safety geared up here at the moment because I just shocked the tub. We used a non-chlorine shock. Presently the bubbles are going to mix and dissolve the shock into the pool. Our pool, the Intex spa that we purchased, is about 290 gallons at capacity, and it is pretty much at that capacity at the moment. So according to the manufacturer's information on the shock treatment, you're supposed to use 1 ounce per 300 gallons, and 1 ounce is 2 tablespoons. So I measured approximately that much out, and just kind of dished it in, spread it out all over the top of the pool, turned on the bubbles to help spread it around and dissolve. We're gonna give this a good like 30 minutes of having the top off and probably about 15 minutes of bubble action. And then I will do the chemical test strip test. So this is the shock we are using. You'll have to forgive the black smudges all over it. I was wearing some rubber gloves that seem to have melted in the ridiculous heat here in Southern California, and fingers started to melt off on my thing. You are supposed to wear gloves and goggles though, and I recommend a good, put on your N95 mask, man. Everybody's got one. Use it. You don't want to be breathing this stuff in. Anyway, this is the stuff we used. Hopefully it'll work out just fine. Here are active ingredients. This is a non-chlorine shock because we are going to be using bromine as our sanitation source, and this is our oxidizer of choice. So here we go. All right, so those bromine brominating tablets, active ingredient, bromochloro dimethyldentuine, Tatooine, essentially, is what it is. It's just Tatooine sand. This is what it looks like. This is what we're using. This is for regular sanitation needs. So these come in like tablet form. It's a big disc, and they pop into a little container that floats around inside the pool. So I've popped one of those in. It is ready to go when we are done with the shock. After I've done my first chemical test strip test, we will pop one of these in for the regular maintenance of killing bacteria and viruses in the hot tub. Also, really quickly, when we're talking about those chemical test strips, these are the strips that came with the Intex Spa. They are 4-way strips, and they read 4 things. Essentially, they read free chlorine levels, the pH balance, total alkalinity, and then your calcium or hardness levels, all in parts per million. Well, except pH, obviously. So this is great, but we're not using chlorine as our sanitation method. We are using bromine. So while it's awesome to use this to see, because you know, when you put like water from your tap into your spa to fill it up initially, there's some chlorine in that water. It's just in there for, whoa, well, let's just drop it. How about that? For sanitation purposes. But it's not what we're going to be using on a regular basis. So what we bought was this stuff, and this is a 7-way test strip, and it tests for total hardness, total chlorine in parts per million, free chlorine, which is really what we're worried about in the parts per million as to what is there in the water protecting us, bromine in parts per million, total alkalinity, cyanic acid, and then the pH here at the bottom. So it's the same thing. You get a strip, you dip it in the water, you give it a couple of seconds in there, and you whip it out, you turn this sideways, you hold your strip horizontal up to the color codes, and you try to make sure that you're within the boxes here of what's good for each of these different readings. So after this is done shocking our hot tub, we will go ahead and do one of these strips just to see what's in there now. All right, before I shut these bubbles off again, look at those bubbles. Look at them. That is fantastic. This is a really great product. Well, so far anyway. All right, so to switch them off, I'm just gonna hit ye old bubble button right here. And there they go. Water is settling down here. And the next thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and pop out my test strips and give it a test. All right, cool, here we go. So this is what the strips looks like before you dip it in the water. Kind of like pastel and not really colored. They say to dip it in for 2 seconds, give it a little flip, and then wait approximately 30 seconds before everything is going to come right into balance. Can already really tell what the colors are here. It looks like my total hardness is, yeah, right about at that 120 mark there. That's pretty good. My total chlorine looks like it's at 3, but it might be between 3 and 5. My free chlorine is right there between 3 and 5, so I think it's actually closer to 3. I think we're pretty golden there with the free chlorine, which actually just came from the tap water. And then our bromine levels, you know what, they might be a little high. It actually looks like it's between 6 and 10. But, yeah, it's a good start. We don't want it higher than 8 for bromine in order to get into the water. So I'm going to do another test before I actually get my body and my wife's body into this water. But for now, we're looking pretty good here. To go through the rest of the readings, we've got total alkalinity. We also look like we're right there in that range. I would say actually it's about 120 on the dot. And then cyanic acid, we're about the 30 to 50 range as opposed to the 100, which is nice. And yeah, it looks like our pH is probably about 7.2 right on. It might be a little closer to, you know, it's closer to 7.2 than 7.6. So I think we're pretty golden here. I will do another one of these readings before we get into the pool just to take a look at what we've got at that point in time. But to start with here, I think we're good. Okay, so the final thing I want to do here before I put the lid back on and get this heated up to temperature, although I will say it's already 91 degrees right now just from the Southern California hot sun, is pop our bromine tablet into our floating cartridge and then just pop this puppy right in the pool to do its job of continually sanitizing and keeping our bromine levels where we want them. So yeah, it's time to put the top back on and to push the heater button and the filter button to get this tub up to temperature. All right, so we have just taken our readings and it looks like we are just within optimal range on all of our chemicals. So it's time. We've taken off our filters from the sea level where we attach them, and we've got them here in our little yellow tub along with our bromine tablet. Neighbor dog says hello. Yeah, and we are ready for a little dip. It got up to about 94 degrees, which to be honest, we could get it hotter, but on a nice hot day like today, I think this is going to be really pleasant for a nice evening dip. So what do you think?
It's awesome!
It is awesome. It's a perfect temperature.
Yeah, it's great. We're super into it. Oh, we didn't turn the bubbles on. Maybe should we?
Oh, we'll turn the bubbles on.
Are loud. The bubbles are loud, so you probably won't be able to hear us when we turn the bubbles on. We'll have to put some music.
This is definitely not a tub for 6 people.
No.
As advertised. What would you say, like 4 maybe?
Max.
3 comfortably. 2 comfortably, really.
2 comfortably. Because, you know, I like to stretch out.
It's true, you're a floater. You like to float around.
Float. I can't do a full 100% stretched out, but I can put my feet there and my hands there, and that's pretty cool. I like that. So I can stretch out that way. I just can't float.
Well, should we have a little bubble time?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think it's time for bubble time. I love how you can just lay back like it's a bed. It's perfect. Like my feet aren't even touching the other side. I mean, I'm short, but it's really comfortable.
It is very comfy. Yeah, I like that too. I think it's overall really awesome and comfortable. And the bromine is good too. Like I don't smell any chlorine smell, and I am super sensitive to smells. I do smell a plastic smell because this thing is made of plastic, so it smells like plastic. But it's going to be sitting out in the sun forever, so I'm sure that plastic smell is going to dissipate. And it's not that bad. Like I am very sensitive, and this could bother me, but it's not even that bad. It's just a little bit. Like it's a thing made out of plastic, smells like plastic, but no chlorine smell or bromine smell, which I don't think bromine has a smell, so that's probably why.
You know they sell seats that you can sit on, but I don't really think it's necessary. It's like just the right height where I'm leaned back. I can still get my arms up over this thing. I can sit up if I want to.
It could help you when the jets are on, because the jets do sort of push you around a bit.
True.
But I don't feel it's necessary because I like being floated around about. So there you go.
So this is our Intex spa, the 6-person quote unquote version. And I have to say, I'm impressed for an inflatable, portable hot tub that we could potentially deflate and take with us anywhere we wanted to go. Yeah.
Woo!
We'll see you next time.